There's no such thing as a normal day at Notre Dame. Every day is extraordinary.
Notre Dame is more than a typical high school because here at Notre Dame College Prep, these young men join a community, they become part of, I would say, a brotherhood, a band of brothers. They make relationships that they have for life. Because of the community and the mission that we have here at Notre Dame, their life here as high school students becomes something that forms them for the rest of their life.
The recruitment and the enrollment team, they talk a lot about a brotherhood, and you know, before you come here, that's just a term that they throw around, but when you get here, you really start to feel the brotherhood and feel that all the guys here, they always have your back.
Well, one of the things that makes Notre Dame really different, I think, is that we have a wide variety of academic opportunities, and our school reflects the greater community.
Studying history is extremely important today. Now more than ever, I feel like people are exposed to more of what's going on in our world. And so really, history can help us make sense of all of that. And so really giving our students the opportunity to look at past events and then relate them to what's going on right now is such a huge aspect of what we do in the history department.
They're not afraid to take chances, right? We're trying new things all the time. And we have to be, right? Because we live in changing times.
You know, I think it really takes us out of our bubble. I think it's really easy to just get stuck in your life and, you know, your community, but it's important to realize that the world is this gigantic place with all these cultures and all these different ways of doing things, and foreign language really allows us to see that and gives us the tools to communicate.
For my own personal experience, I think Notre Dame is more than a typical high school because of the opportunities it has for so many different populations of students. We've got the Burke Schelor program, which helps students with more significant special needs. You've got the Andre program, who helps students who need a little bit more support. You've got the regular college prep program for most of the population, and then you even have the Hesburgh program for students who are a little bit more high achieving. And I think with all four of those programs, there's really a finite number of students that wouldn't fit in with that many opportunities.
The St. Andre Scholar program is a program that really shows Notre Dame College Prep at its best, because our mission is to be an inclusive environment. We educate all.
The Burke Schelor program here at Notre Dame College Prep is a special education program for students with mild to moderate cognitive disabilities. It's very rare for a Catholic school to be including students with special needs and disabilities in their educational settings.
Jesus says to welcome the children, and all children are welcome, and to not promote those same values here at our school seems wrong.
Here at Notre Dame, you're always included.
What we want to do is form men of faith and scholarship and service. We want to form them into the best possible versions of themselves, to be who they're called to be. They get to answer the question, who am I? When you walk around, you see students and teachers and coaches and more stay beyond the time the school actually ends. Notre Dame has become a second home. For some, it's the first place they've ever called home. But the work doesn't stop there.
Our extensive, as we know, athletic program really does take into account the whole child and trying to develop not just the intellect, but the physical aspect, which in turn does affect the spiritual aspect as well.
Probably since I was about 3 or 4 years old. My parents moved to the neighborhood in the early 1970s, and they started bringing me to Notre Dame sporting events. So my first introduction to Notre Dame was via coming to football, basketball, baseball, and soccer games in the mid to late 70s. Ever since then, I've always wanted to attend the school. And I initially knew Notre Dame because of sports. But then as I got introduced to Notre Dame when I became a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, I realized that Notre Dame was a lot more than sports. We have sports teams to shine light upon the fact that everything we do is for God alone. Everything we do starts with a prayer. It doesn't matter if it's academics, sports, or anything else. Before each game we pray, we visit the grotto, and we pray together as a team. At the end of the day though, we don't win because we pray, but we pray because it reminds us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We recognize the talents that God has given to us, and so when we use our God-given talents to the fullest, that practice in itself is prayer.
I think when we look back at our own lives, the period of high school is such a formative part of our lives. It has to be the place where spirituality, religion, theology comes into play. And here, it's a place where we are able to freely talk about it, we're freely able to experience it and share it.
Jumping from a public to a Catholic, never really having to pray so much before every class and having to go to Mass. But you didn't really think that you'd enjoy it, but over time you get to a place where you kind of can't wait for Mass. It's something that you actually want to do, and praying just becomes more, not really a task, but something that just comes naturally to you.
Notre Dame is more than a typical high school because we educate the whole person. We focus on building these guys when they walk in the door their freshman year to when they're seniors, and hopefully thereafter, just building them into good young men that aren't just for themselves, but men that want to go out and affect positive change in the world.
Freshman boys come in here, they come in as boys, right? And then they're taught to be a don and a gentleman throughout their 4 years here, right? And society could really use a lot of gentlemen now.
We are making a difference in the lives of these young men. Somebody said we're changing the trajectory of a young man's life. And we really believe that that's what we're doing.
I think as a teenager when I was in school here, I didn't really realize what Notre Dame was doing for me. And I think that's the same thing is true for a lot of the kids here today. At the moment and at the time, you don't understand what you're getting from Notre Dame. But what Notre Dame instills in people is that faith, scholarship, and service, those 3 pillars. And maybe kids are too young to realize it at the time, but it certainly builds an incredible foundation for later in life.
I think the students give me hope because they're a really bright group, and they are sensitive and they are sincere. They are all about serving and helping, and when I see kids interacting and helping one another in the hallway, and I see people address adults and they open doors and they act in a civil manner towards one another, it gives me hope that we're doing the right things at Notre Dame, and also that I can be a small piece of that, helping young men on their journey.
The founder of the Congregation of Holy Cross, Blessed Basil Moreau, calls us to be zealous people. And in his words, zeal is the great desire to make God known, loved, and served.
We'll make God known at Mass and when we begin each class with a prayer, but being a Holy Cross school calls us to a higher purpose. We lift up everything we do in God's name alone. But most importantly, we make God known in every don who walks through our doors here. It doesn't matter if you're a straight A student, or if you've never gotten an A on a test, or if you don't even know anyone else here when you walk through our doors for the first time.
What actually does matter is that you are here, because you're supposed to be here. And you now have 800 other people who are looking out for you, and they have your back. You'll see them on the weekend, and you'll build great friendships with them that'll last for lifetimes. You have a place here, and you always have. So welcome to the Brotherhood.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.